Aitah for taking my ex-best friend to court. Gonna just get straight into it, and I am sorry it's long. Felix, 19 at the time and I 20 at the time, had made an agreement of both of us doordaring together under one account, and the payout would be split evenly. Gas, food, travel and living expenses were all under my name, but verbally agreed that we would both use our share of the money earned DoorDashing to cover those accumulated costs. An example of this was a Planet Fitness membership with a minimum contract of 12 months costing $27.11 per month with an annual fee of $53.04, which would be split between the two of us. We continued DoorDashing with the previous agreement of shared expenses and began thinking of what our next step would be. We both decided that we were making enough money to travel the country while DoorDashing. From May 8 to June 2, we traveled across Texas to Colorado. We needed to be back in Houston so that Felix could go on a birthday trip with their boyfriend to Austin from June 11–14. While Felix was on their trip, I compiled a list of things that would need to be discussed with Felix to make positive change. On June 14, 2024, Felix returned back to Houston, and all three of us, Felix, our mutual friend Jade, and I, had a sit-down conversation about Felix's actions. Some but not limited to stealing, alcohol dependency and so many lies. One of the main takeaways from the conversation was that Felix needed to look for a way to make money and to help pay off the accumulated debt we incurred together during our time on the road that was on my credit card. This was previously discussed and accepted verbally that Felix was going to pay their portion of what they were in debt for, which is on a 1 hour 7 minutes and 11 seconds audio recording. The following morning, June 15th, Felix began applying for jobs as I was getting ready to go out for a Father's Day lunch with my family. I gave Felix the option to either stay home, drop them off somewhere, or for them to DoorDash in the area, which they chose to go out and DoorDash. Within 20 minutes of the lunch beginning, I got a call from Felix saying that they was in a car accident and had rear-ended the person in front at a red light. Felix was ticketed with failure to control speed. The car was damaged to the point of it not turning on and had to be towed to a nearby storage lot. When we got back to the house, I told Felix to either call their boyfriend or parents to come pick them up. Felix and I kept in touch over text to arrange a payment plan of what they owed me, because from our time together DoorDashing, Felix had not paid their portion to the accumulated debt that they agreed to pay off on my credit card. After the estimate was completed on my vehicle, it came out to $8,188.06 worth of damages. Luckily, with insurance, the only thing Felix had to pay was the deductible of $500. That, totaled with the previously made arrangement before the crash of Felix paying me back, the end total that Felix owed was $1,303.38. This included the deductible of the car, the tow fees, and the debt Felix agreed to pay me. This total has since changed, and the tow fees were taken care of by insurance. On June 26, 2024, I sent Felix a repayment plan of what they owed me. On June 29, 2024, Felix had said, "But either way, I will do everything to pay you back, everything, every penny, and for Jade as well." Felix had confirmed that the $1,303.38 will be paid back in full, including any late fees and the interest. On Monday, July 15th, I texted asking if they were still on track for first payment on Friday. And Felix said yup. Friday, July 19th came around and the money had not been sent. Felix said that the bank app was not working due to the Microsoft crisis. I called 3 locations of the bank Felix used and they all said that she could come into the bank to cash in her paycheck. The following day, Saturday, July 20th, Felix sent the money, which meant that the late fees stated in the repayment plan would be added. Had I called the banks and they said all of our systems were down, I wouldn't have added the late fee, but all 3 banks said that you could come in person to get the money and Felix did not. Felix had agreed to the terms of the repayment plan, but after the first payment was made, decided independently and without conversation that the rest did not need to be paid and therefore broke our agreement. Felix texted on Wednesday, July 24th with, "I will not be moving forward with any reimbursement aside from the $500 that you've received." Felix still owes me the rest of the agreed amount from the time of the agreement, March 9th through June 14th, totaling to $518.74. A lot of context. Back in December of 2022, I became in contact with Felix. Within the first few weeks of meeting, Felix had told me a lot of personal matter, including having a conversation with their father about what Felix's plans were in life. It was during this conversation with Felix and father that the idea of doing the online Texas All Lines Adjuster licensing course came to be. When Felix had informed me that they were doing the course but did not have any interest or intent in completing the course, Felix admitted that they were also faking the progress and showing it to their parents. During April of 2023, Felix confided in me that they wanted to start earning money and still did not want to finish the insurance course. I was at that time working at a coffee house and asked my boss, the owner of the location, if he would be willing to interview Felix if there was a spot on the team available. Felix did in fact end up obtaining the job as a barista. During the month of June, I broke my arm and was out of work for being a liability. During my time away from work, I began looking for other employment possibilities and had an interview set up with Xantara Travel Company at the Grand Canyon South Rim. After being accepted, I joyously told my friends. They were sad that I would be leaving them all, so I threw out the idea that they could also apply, and we could all work up in Arizona together. In the end, it was me, Felix, and our other friend Jill all traveling up to work at the Grand Canyon starting August 9, 2023. Our first week there mainly included setting up our dorm room, checking out the village, going to orientation, and at last, training for our jobs. The second day of training, Felix didn't want to go to work and called out. The third day, Felix went into work but left early. The rest of the week going into week 2 was met with Felix calling out or going home early. The company gave Felix a written warning and write-up for not showing up for work. Felix then became sick and was not able to go into work and needed a doctor's note. Mind you, within 2 weeks of being there, I only remember Felix going into work maximum 4 or 5 times. After going to the doctor and getting a note, they proceeded not to turn in the doctor's note to their boss. They were terminated the following day. During late August of 2023, Felix miraculously was able to get a job with Delaware North, which is a co-parent company that takes care of the Grand Canyon. Felix was moved 40 minutes away from Jill and I, and we saw Felix on her days off. It was during this time that Felix had befriended other people at Delaware North who were all over the age of 21 while they were 19. Felix asked her new friends to buy alcohol for her, and there started her alcohol abuse. Felix on many occasions called or texted me while drunk, had lost many of their belongings from blacking out in the woods, and admitted to me in person of going into work every day intoxicated. By the time all 3 of our contacts came to an end, we began the journey back to Houston the day after Thanksgiving. In December of 2023, I had a serious sit-down conversation with both Felix and Jill about their behavior up in Arizona. This conversation included Felix's alcohol usage, the irresponsibleness of not showing up for her job leading to their termination, and other private matters. During the beginning months of 2024, January through March, Felix had moved back in with their parents and continued the lie of working on the insurance course while faking their progress by editing the course sheet. On Saturday, March 9, 2023, Felix had a conversation with their parents which ended with them asking me if they could move in with me and my family. One night, Felix, Jade, and I were at the house baking when Jade got a FaceTime call. This FaceTime call was from Jade's good friend, V. While on the phone, V told Jade that the person in the background, Felix, was very attractive. Jade asked if V could come over to drop off a present for her, and I said yes. Jade had told me lots of good things about V and how she thought we would all be a good group of friends. V and Felix exchanged numbers and would text each other constantly and shortly began dating. On April 7th, V and Felix had a date planned, and I was told by Felix they would be home by 7, they set their own time. After 744 rolled around, Felix said they wouldn't be home for another hour and a half. I was not home, and when 10:32 rolled around, Felix was back at the house and had to call my mom to let them in. This was also discussed that, if you set a time for yourself, it's only right to stay true to that time, and Felix said sorry, it won't happen again. This takes place when we started DoorDashing from Texas to Colorado. Lily decided to give her insurance course to Jade since we were hitting the road, and Felix made it clear to both of us that they never wanted it in the first place and would not finish it. From May 8 to June 2, we traveled to Colorado. We needed to be back in Houston so that Felix could go on a birthday trip with V to Austin from June 11-14. The original birthday plan was for V, Jade, Felix, Sloan, V's younger sister, and a couple friends and coworkers would be attending. V made it clear that he wanted to cover all of the cost himself and turned down any money offered to pitch in with costs. The plan then changed to the trip just being V and Felix. V had told Jade that he just wanted an intimate time with Felix, which Jade understood, and V told Felix that no one was able to pitch in with costs, which was a lie. When we arrived back in Houston, Felix had said that they didn't want to go on the birthday trip with V anymore because they felt weird going after finding out he lied to them. Felix decided to take the time on June 8 to hang out with V and talk things over. When Felix returned to Jade and I, Felix had said they had a serious conversation with V, and he admitted to lying about people not being able to pitch in with costs. The next day Felix told me in private that they lied to Jade and I the night before. Felix said that I didn't get mad at him, I didn't even talk to him about him lying, we just had a normal date. That same day of Felix admitting they didn't talk to V, they said I don't want to go on the trip, but I can't cancel now since they would be leaving with him in 2 days. While Felix was up in Austin, they had sent both Jade and I a picture of Beatbox with the caption "I was somehow able to put this down my pants and walk out with it" in reference to stealing alcohol from a store. Jade and I both immediately were in a disapproving state, especially after the conversation back in December about their alcohol abuse. On June 14, 2024, Lily returned back to Houston and all three of us had a sit-down conversation, yet again about Lily's disturbing actions. During the crash time frame, on June 19, Jade had received a text from Felix saying that they needed the insurance course back because their parents want Felix to finish it or Jade could pay them the $600 it cost to get. Going back when Felix first got the course over a year ago, it was a present to Felix from their parents which Felix then passed on to Jade. Felix then said "I'll take it back as is, I'll see if they'll forget about it so I can just give it back to you. I don't want it, I want you to. I'll take the PW for now but don't worry about changing it, it should be back in your possession again." This was my breaking point, because for over a year Felix had been in a constant battle with this course and told Jade she could have it, and Jade had actually been working on the course, so now more of it was complete but back in Felix's possession. I went off on Felix over text and they had said in one of their messages back at me that I was attacking them and why the F would I purposely try to hurt you, but maybe you don't know me and it's starting to show this is correct. I don't know Felix. I know the version of Felix that they told and had made a reality for themselves full of lies that I think Felix even started to believe. Felix then privately messaged Jade saying "Get your dog, it's playing effing games with me" in reference to me calling them out on their behavior. Felix put words in my mouth saying "You can call me trash, you can call me a," which I never did, and then said "You can throw away or burn all of my, and I'd still love you." So I asked if they needed any meds and they said no, and I threw out half Felix's belongings since it was also taking up most of the space in my room. Me throwing out half of their belongings is Felix's reasoning for not paying me back the full amount and that it cancels out. So, would I be the off for taking Felix to court since from the time of the repayment plan and first payment, it was never once discussed it would cancel out? I have all the proof and evidence, but would it be a waste of time to go to court for $518.74? Could they take me to court then after since it was taken out of context but still said that I can throw away or burn my